I'm Alan Spears with Occupy Democrats, and in the news this morning, the former Secretary of State and presidential candidate Hillary Clinton went on to Morning Joe to discuss the dangers of presidential immunity. In a clip I'm about to show you, Clinton brought up a number of different points as to the dangers of what absolute immunity would mean for a current or former president. And considering the fact that absolute immunity is something that Donald Trump is very interested in and could greatly determine the outcome of these hush money trials, along with the numerous felonies he's facing, this is an incredibly important topic that we need to keep an eye on. Take a look.
The Supreme Court is doing our country a grave disservice in not deciding the case about immunity. I read the excellent decision by the Court of Appeals, and the judges there, I think, covered every possible argument. And what we heard when this case was tried before the Supreme Court, to my ear at least, were efforts to try to find loopholes, to try to create an opportunity for Trump to have attempted to overturn an election, to have carried out hundreds and hundreds of pages of very highly classified material for his own amusement, interest, trading, we don't know what. These are very serious charges against any American, but someone who's both been a president and wants to be a president again. That should cause any voter to think not twice, but many, many times over about whether we should entrust our country to him.
Now, as you can imagine, this is a pretty extensive issue that can get pretty deep into the weeds of our legal and judicial system. I'm going to try to break this down as simply as I can for all of us. First off, a sitting president is granted immunity to some degree and is protected from civil lawsuits, specifically with regard to them carrying out their executive duties. Effectively, what this means is a sitting president cannot be sued while in office. However, as many of us are aware, they still may be impeached and removed from power by Congress. Unfortunately, this is about as far as our Constitution and our laws take this premise in writing. Presidential immunity is actually a philosophy that has been in circulation for some time and certainly predates Donald Trump. He has, however, brought it back into the spotlight as he has requested complete and total presidential immunity. Effectively, the presidential immunity that Donald Trump and his counsel are advocating for and saying that he should be granted is a philosophy that the sitting president is completely above the law. Now, as one might guess, this is incredibly problematic. A sitting president who is protected by total presidential immunity would be completely above the law and free to carry out practically anything they wanted to. And as many scholars have pointed out, total presidential immunity could, in theory, allow a president to carry out assassinations of political rivals. While carrying out assassinations from a president's order sounds like something out of dystopia or a authoritarian country or regime, this would give the President of the United States access to carry out such acts. This could absolutely wreak havoc on our entire government and our entire country. No one person should be above the law. No president on either side, the Republican, Democrat, or otherwise, should be protected and above the law. This is absolutely at the core and the heart and soul of this country. All men and women are created equally. The problem is we are living in very unprecedented times, and this can be very difficult for courts to make rulings as it requires to think very carefully, as this will set a precedent for future cases. In this case, Trump is the first president to be indicted on criminal charges. And frankly, I hope that the courts do hold Donald Trump accountable and do not grant him total presidential immunity. No person, no one from either side should be above the law. It is plain and simple. A sitting president already enjoys numerous immunities and privileges with their position. And if they make a mistake and if they violate the law in some way, they should eventually, at least, face the consequences. If we allow a president to be capable of carrying out any order they so wish and being completely immune and above the law, then we have become the very country we spent decades fighting.